Be ready, 5 seconds. Students in the hall and those who have logged in from elsewhere, teachers, vice chancellors, heads of academic institutions, my friends on the dais. It is a very great pleasure to join you all today at University Connect, where we engage young minds on important issues. Today's event is focused on the assumption of the G20 presidency by India. For reasons that I will explain, this is not a development that should be regarded as just one more diplomatic happening. On the contrary, it is a crucial responsibility that is being assumed by India at a very challenging time in world politics and at an inflection point in India's own history. And we are going to do the G20 very differently. And today's event itself is proof of that. You are all aware that the G20 brings together the 20 major economies of the world. They represent 85% of the global GDP, 75% of international trade, and two-thirds of the world's population. As the host, it is also India's prerogative to invite guest nations. We have exercised that right in respect of UAE, Bangladesh, Mauritius, Egypt, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, the Netherlands, and Spain. So, as you can see, this is a gathering of extraordinary importance, and one that is in many ways unparalleled in our history. But it is not just the collective weight of the participants that you should take note of. The very process of holding the G20 itself is uniquely impactful. There will, of course, be the G20 summit in September 2023 in New Delhi. But in addition, there are almost 200 meetings at various other levels, from ministers and officials to domain experts, civil society, and of course the youth. Given its significance, we would like G20 not to be a Delhi centric set of events, but one that is hosted, indeed, that is celebrated across the width and breadth of our country. By doing so, the world will get to know better the fullness of India's extraordinary diversity and rich heritage. Similarly, our own citizens will develop a sharper appreciation of the world, its challenges, and its opportunities. So, we must all approach the G20 and its delegates in the true spirit of Atithi Devo Bhava and understand that as a result of the G20, it will, in a sense, make the world more India ready and make India more world ready. Now, our G20 presidency is taking place at a very critical moment in international affairs. Over the last 3 years, we have seen the economic and social devastation caused by the COVID pandemic quite apart from its human toll. It has aggravated the financial situation of developing countries, undermined the pursuit of sustainable development goals, and created a health divide between the developed and the developing. To this was added the knock on effects of the Ukraine conflict, especially the difficulties in the availability and affordability of fuel, of food, of fertilizers. There are then the longer term trends like extreme climate, whose events are now unfolding with greater frequency and more impact. And do not forget the perennial challenges that we have faced, whether it be terrorism, black money, etc. The G20 is the premier grouping devoted to addressing the financial, economic, and developmental challenges of the world. And in these difficult times, it is particularly vital that world leaders focus on the right issues that especially affect the more vulnerable sections of the world. The attention obviously needs to be given not just to the problems, but equally, perhaps even more so, to finding viable solutions. In this regard, India's example is of increasing relevance to the rest of the world. Whether it is our last mile delivery done using digital platforms, our way of responding to the COVID and other public health challenges, or indeed the transformation in green and clean energy that we have seen in the last few years, there are very good reasons why today the world is taking a much deeper interest in us. The G20 presidency offers us an opportunity to share our story with others, particularly those who may transpose some of our experiences on their performance on challenges. It is also a time when we must become the voice of the global south that is otherwise underrepresented in such forums. Countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America trust India to speak up for them. We have of late been in the forefront of expressing their concerns on fuel, food, and fertilizers. We share too the apprehension that sustainable development, climate action, and climate justice could be sidetracked due to more dominant issues. But our task will end not just with articulation. India has to take the lead in pushing for collective action, and that is exactly what we intend to do at the G20.